My mill tried to destroy my marriage at Thanksgiving dinner, but I had screenshots of everything she'd been doing behind my back. My mother-in-law smiled sweetly while she told my entire family that I was trying to isolate her son from everyone who loved him, but what she didn't know was that I'd been recording our phone calls for 3 months. By the time dessert was served, she was crying in the kitchen while my husband finally saw who his mother really was. And the worst part? My own sister had been helping her the whole time. I'm Elena, 36, and I've been married to Logan for 4 years. We live in Savannah, and up until last week, I thought I had the kind of marriage people envied. Logan's a vet tech, I'm a claims adjuster, and we've been trying to start a family. Logan's mom Nina has always been involved. She's 58, works as a daycare director, and has this way of making everything sound like loving concern. When we got engaged, she insisted on helping plan the wedding, because Logan's never done this before, honey. When we bought our house, she had opinions about every room. When I changed jobs last year, she worried it was too stressful for someone planning a family. I told myself it was normal. Logan's dad died when he was in college, so they're close. Nina calls herself his best friend, and honestly, sometimes it felt true. She knew his schedule better than I did. She had a key to our house. She'd text him good morning before I was even awake. The first red flag was so small I almost missed it. 3 months ago, I was making coffee when Logan's phone buzzed on the counter. The message preview showed Nina's name. "Did you ask Elena about what we discussed?" I didn't open it, but it bothered me. What had they discussed? When? Logan was already at work, so I texted him, "Your mom asked if you talked to me about something." His response was weird. "Just family dinner stuff, I'll handle it." But we'd already confirmed for Sunday dinner. What was there to handle? That night, I asked him directly. Logan got this uncomfortable look and said Nina was worried I seemed tired lately. She thought maybe we should skip family dinners for a while so I could rest. I never said I was tired. "I know, babe. I told her you're fine, don't worry about it." But I was worried. Since when did Nina suggest I skip family dinners? She usually acted hurt if we missed even one. 2 weeks later, Logan's sister Parker called me at work. She lives in Atlanta, but stays close with the family. "Hey, I heard you've been feeling overwhelmed with everything. Nina mentioned you might need some space from family stuff." My stomach dropped. "I never said that, I'm not overwhelmed." Parker paused. "Oh, well, Nina seemed really concerned. She said you'd been. I don't know, maybe she misunderstood something." After we hung up, I sat in my car feeling crazy. Was I missing something? Had I complained about family dinners and forgotten? That weekend at Nina's house, she was extra sweet. She made my favorite dessert, asked about my work, told me I looked beautiful. But when Logan went to the bathroom, her voice changed completely. "Elena, honey, I need to ask you something, and please don't take this the wrong way." She leaned forward, her voice soft and concerned. "Are you happy, really happy?" "Of course I'm happy. Why would you ask that?" "It's just, Logan seems stressed lately. And I know marriage is an adjustment. If you ever feel like maybe you too rushed into things, or if you're having doubts, I want you to know you can talk to me." I stared at her. "Nina, we've been married for 4 years." "I know, sweetie. I just want what's best for both of you." She reached over and patted my hand. "Sometimes people grow apart, and that's nobody's fault." When Logan came back, Nina was smiling again, asking if we wanted coffee. But something had shifted. She was planting seeds, and I couldn't figure out why. The next week, Logan started acting different. More distant. He'd gone a text during dinner and stepped outside to take a call. "Who was that?" "Just Mom. She wanted to talk through some stuff." "What kind of stuff?" Logan hesitated. "She's worried about us. She thinks we've been fighting more lately." "We haven't been fighting at all." "I know, I told her that, but she says you seemed upset last time we were over there." I felt like I was losing my mind. I hadn't been upset. I'd been confused by her weird question about my happiness, but I hadn't seemed upset, had I? That's when I started paying closer attention. Nina would text Logan constantly. Little messages throughout the day that he'd read and delete. When I asked about them, he'd say it was nothing important, just mom stuff. But if it was nothing, why delete them? I started screenshotting the message previews when I could see them. Most were innocent, but some were strange. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for putting family first. Remember what we talked about. The breaking point came 6 weeks ago. My sister Morgan called me crying. She'd been having problems with her husband Ethan, and she needed someone to talk to. Morgan's 35, works as a restaurant manager, and we've always been close despite our different personalities. Elena, I need to ask you something, and please be honest. Has Logan said anything about Ethan to you? No, why? Nina called me yesterday. She said Logan mentioned that you told him Ethan was acting weird around other women at my birthday party. She was worried I should know. My blood went cold. Morgan, I never said anything like that to Logan. I barely saw Ethan at your party. You didn't tell Logan that Ethan was flirting with someone. No, I would never say that. It's not true, and even if I thought something was wrong, I'd talk to you directly. Morgan was quiet for a minute. Nina seemed really concerned. She said she debated whether to call me, but she felt like I deserved to know what people were saying. People aren't saying anything, Morgan. I think Nina made that up. But why would she do that? I didn't have an answer, but I was starting to get an idea. That night, I confronted Logan. Did you tell your mother that I thought Ethan was flirting with someone? Logan looked genuinely confused. What? No, why? Because she called Morgan and said you did. Elena, I never said anything like that. I don't even remember talking to Mom about Morgan's party. Then why would she say that? Logan looked uncomfortable. Maybe she misunderstood something, you know how she worries about family drama. But this wasn't about worry. This was about creating drama where none existed. And it was working. Morgan spent 3 days questioning her husband about a conversation that never happened, while Nina positioned herself as the caring family member who didn't want to share hurtful gossip but felt obligated to protect people. That's when I decided to start recording our phone calls. In Georgia, you only need one party consent for recording, so it was legal. I used an app that automatically saved everything to the cloud. I told myself I was protecting my own sanity, creating proof of what was really being said. The first recording was Nina calling to ask about Thanksgiving plans. Elena, honey, I wanted to talk to you about something sensitive. Logan mentioned you might prefer a smaller Thanksgiving this year. He did, we haven't talked about that. Oh, well, maybe I misunderstood. He just seemed to think you find the big family gatherings a little overwhelming, which is completely understandable. Some people are just more private. Nina, I love family gatherings. I've never complained about them being too big. Of course, sweetie, I'm probably just overthinking things. It's just that Logan seemed worried you don't enjoy spending time with all of us. Every response was designed to make me doubt myself while planting the idea that I was the problem. She'd suggest Logan had said things he never said, then backtrack just enough to seem reasonable. The second recording was worse. Nina called when she knew Logan was at work. Elena, I hope you don't mind me asking, but are you and Logan thinking about counseling? No, why would we need counseling? I just worry sometimes. Logan seems so stressed lately, and I know how hard it can be when couples have different ideas about family involvement. Some women prefer their husbands to be less close to their mothers. I've never asked Logan to be less close to you. Of course not, honey. You're not that type of person. I just want to make sure you know that Logan's always been a family-oriented person. It's important to him. I'd hate for there to be tension about something like that. She was masterful. Every conversation contained an accusation wrapped in concern, a threat disguised as love, and a way to make me the villain while positioning herself as the victim. The third recording was the worst yet. Nina called the day after Logan, and I had a minor disagreement about weekend plans. Nothing serious, just normal couple stuff. But somehow, she knew about it. Elena, Logan called me last night, and he sounded really upset. Upset about what? Well, I don't want to get in the middle of anything, but he said you two had some kind of argument. And he was questioning whether you really want the same things he wants. My heart started pounding. Logan hadn't called his mother. We'd resolved our disagreement before bed, and he'd seemed fine that morning. Nina, we didn't have an argument. We had a 5-minute conversation about whether to go hiking or stay home Saturday. It wasn't a fight. Oh, well, he made it sound much more serious. He was wondering if maybe you don't enjoy the same activities he does, and if that was a sign of deeper incompatibility. He said that, I'm probably paraphrasing, honey. I just hate hearing my son so confused about his marriage. It breaks my heart. That night, I asked Logan about the call. He looked at me like I was crazy. Elena, I didn't call my mom last night. We watched a movie and went to bed. When would I have called her? She said you called upset about our conversation yesterday. What conversation? About hiking? That wasn't even a real conversation. We decided to stay home and order pizza. That's when I knew for sure. Nina wasn't misunderstanding or misremembering. She was lying. But why? The answer came in recording number 4, when she called to ask about Christmas plans and accidentally revealed her real feelings. I just hope this Christmas isn't as tense as last year, she said. Last year wasn't tense. Well, not for you maybe, but Logan and I both felt like you seemed disapproving of our traditions. We've always done things a certain way, and change can be hard for families. What changes? I participated in everything exactly the way you asked. I know you tried, sweetie, but sometimes people's true feelings show even when they're trying to be polite. Logan and I are very close, and he picks up on things like that. What kind of things? Just energy, I guess. The way you'd check your phone during gift opening, or how you'd suggest we do things differently. Little things that made it clear you'd rather be somewhere else. I had checked my phone twice to respond to work emails, and I'd suggested we eat dinner an hour later so Logan's uncle could join us after his shift. Normal, polite suggestions that Nina was now reframing as evidence that I hated her family. Elena, can I be honest with you? I love you, but I worry that you don't really understand Logan. He needs to feel connected to his family. It's who he is. And when someone makes him choose between his wife and his mother, it's not fair to him. I've never made him choose anything. Maybe not directly, but Logan's been different since you two got married. More distant from me, more stressed, more worried about keeping everyone happy. That's not the confident, family-focused man I raised. And there it was. Nina blamed me for any change in Logan, any growth or independence that came with being married. In her mind, I was stealing her son, and she was fighting to get him back. The 5th recording was Nina calling to coordinate Thanksgiving. She wanted to make sure I knew what to bring, what time to arrive, who would be there. Oh, and Elena, Morgan mentioned she's been feeling a little awkward around you since that situation with Ethan. I told her I was sure it was just a misunderstanding, but maybe you could reach out to her. Smooth things over. Morgan should feel awkward. You lied to her. The line went quiet for a few seconds. When Nina spoke again, her voice was colder. Lied is a strong word, Elena. I shared what I thought I heard. If I was wrong, I apologize. But maybe the real question is why you're so defensive about it. I'm defensive because you're making up conversations that never happened. I would never make anything up. If there was a miscommunication, it was just that. But honestly, Elena, this kind of accusation is exactly what I've been worried about. You seem to think everyone is against you, and that's not healthy for you or for Logan. She was good, really good. Even when caught lying, she turned it around to make me the problem. That's when I realized I needed to tell Logan everything, but I also knew he might not believe me. Nina had been in his life for 28 years. I'd been there for 6. She was his grieving, widowed mother. I was the wife who was now making accusations against the woman who raised him. I needed more than recordings. I needed proof he couldn't deny. So I called Morgan and told her everything. I played her the recording where Nina claimed Logan had told me about Ethan flirting. Morgan was furious, not at me but at Nina. Elena, I almost confronted Ethan about this. I almost accused my husband of cheating because of something Nina made up. This is sick. I know, but I need you to help me prove it to Logan. We came up with a plan. Morgan would call Nina and mention a fake problem with Ethan, something specific that Nina could then repeat to Logan or use against our family. We'd see how Nina handled information she thought was private. Morgan called Nina that evening and told her that Ethan had been secretive about money lately, that she'd found a receipt for an expensive purchase he hadn't mentioned. It was completely made up, but Morgan sold it perfectly. 2 days later, Nina called me. Elena, I feel terrible about this, but I think you should know. Morgan called me very upset about Ethan. Apparently, he's been hiding purchases from her, large ones. I'm worried about what that might mean. Did she ask you to tell me? No, but I feel like someone in the family should know in case things get worse. Morgan seemed really shaken up. And honestly, after what Logan noticed at her birthday party, I'm starting to worry there's a pattern. She was doing it again, taking Morgan's fake confession and using it to create more drama, while also referencing the previous lie about Logan noticing Ethan flirting. But this time, I was ready. Nina, what exactly did Logan say he noticed? Well, I don't want to repeat it if you're going to get upset. I won't get upset, I just want to understand what my husband saw. He said Ethan was being very friendly with one of Morgan's coworkers, touching her arm, laughing at everything she said, that kind of thing. Logan was uncomfortable because he likes Ethan, but he felt like he should mention it to you in case you thought Morgan should know. Complete fiction. Logan hadn't said any of that because none of it had happened, but Nina delivered it like she was reluctantly sharing painful truth. And now with the money thing, she continued, I'm just worried Morgan's marriage might be in real trouble. That night, I showed Logan the recordings. All of them, the lies about what he'd supposedly said, the fake concern about our marriage, the made-up conversation about counseling, everything. Logan's face went through about 12 different emotions as he listened. Confusion, disbelief, anger, hurt, and finally, recognition. Oh my God, he whispered after the last recording. Elena, I'm so sorry, I had no idea. She's been trying to break us up, Logan. She's been manipulating both of us, and she's dragging my family into it. Logan was quiet for a long time. Then he said, the phone calls. She's been calling me more lately, asking weird questions about you, about us. I thought she was just being nosy, but now. What kind of questions? Like, are you happy? Do I think you really want kids? Do you miss being single? Stuff that seemed harmless, but made me start second-guessing things that were fine. That's the point, she wanted you to second-guess us. Logan looked sick. She's my mom, Elena. Why would she do this? I didn't have a good answer for that, but I knew we had to confront her, especially before Thanksgiving when she'd have access to my whole family. The confrontation happened yesterday, and it was worse than I imagined. Logan and I drove to Nina's house Sunday afternoon. We'd planned to have a calm conversation, lay out the evidence, and ask her to explain herself. We thought she'd be embarrassed, maybe defensive, but ultimately forced to admit what she'd been doing. We were so naive. Nina answered the door with a huge smile, hugged us both, and immediately started talking about Thanksgiving prep. She'd bought a turkey, cleaned the whole house, and even gotten flowers for the table. She was excited about seeing everyone. Actually, Mom, we need to talk to you about something, Logan said as we sat in her living room. Of course, honey, what's on your mind? Logan looked at me, then back at his mother. Elena's been feeling like there might be some miscommunications happening between you two. We want to clear the air before Thanksgiving. Nina's smile faltered slightly. Miscommunications? Elena, honey, what do you mean? I pulled out my phone. Nina, I have recordings of our recent conversations. I know you've been telling Logan I said things I never said, and telling me Logan said things he never said. The change in Nina's expression was immediate and terrifying. The warm, concerned mother disappeared completely. Her eyes went hard and her voice dropped. You recorded me. You recorded private conversations with your mother-in-law. I recorded conversations where you were lying about my husband and my marriage. I have never lied about anything. Nina turned to Logan. Logan, honey, I can't believe you're letting her do this to our family. She's trying to turn you against me. Mom, I've heard the recordings. You told Elena I called you upset about our marriage. I never called you. You did call me. Maybe you don't remember because you were upset, but you absolutely called me. Logan stared at his mother. What night? What time? What did I supposedly say? Nina's jaw tightened. I don't remember the exact details, Logan, but I know my own son. I know when you're struggling. I'm not struggling. I wasn't struggling. My marriage is fine. Your marriage is not fine. Nina's voice rose sharply. You think I can't see what's happening? She's isolated you from your family, made you question your relationship with me, and now she's recording private conversations like some kind of spy. She hasn't isolated me from anyone. Really? When's the last time you came over here alone? When's the last time you called me just to talk, not because she was sitting right there monitoring the conversation? Logan looked genuinely confused. Mom, I'm a married man. Elena's my wife. Of course she's usually with me when I visit my family. That's not normal, Logan. Healthy married people maintain their individual relationships. They don't become some kind of unit where neither person can have private conversations with their own family. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Nina, you've been trying to convince Logan that I'm controlling and trying to convince me that he's unhappy. You made up a story about Ethan that almost destroyed Morgan's marriage. Nina turned on me with genuine fury. Don't you dare bring Morgan into this. Morgan called me upset about her husband, and I tried to support her. Morgan called you with a fake story to test whether you'd use it to create drama. The receipt she mentioned doesn't exist. For the first time, Nina looked genuinely shocked. Then her face twisted with rage. You set me up. You and Morgan conspired to trick me. We conspired to prove that you can't be trusted with private information because you use it to hurt people. I have spent 4 years trying to include you in this family. I have welcomed you, supported you, and treated you like my own daughter. And this is how you repay me. Logan stood up. Mom, that's not true. Elena's not the problem here. Nina's eyes filled with tears, but they looked calculated rather than genuine. Logan, she's poison. Can't you see that? She's turned you against me, she's manipulating Morgan, and now she's recording conversations to use against me. This is not the behavior of someone who loves this family. The recordings prove that you've been lying. The recordings prove that she's paranoid and controlling. Nina was fully crying now. Logan, I am begging you to see what's happening. She's destroying our family from the inside, and she's so good at it that she's making you believe I'm the villain. Logan looked back and forth between us, and for a horrible moment, I thought he might actually waver. Nina was good at this, really good. But then he said, play the recording where you claim I told Elena that Ethan was flirting with someone. I played it. We all sat in silence as Nina's voice filled the room, describing a conversation with Logan that never happened. When it ended, Logan looked at his mother with something like grief. Mom, I never said anything about Ethan. I never even noticed Ethan talking to anyone except Morgan. You made that up. Nina's tears stopped like someone had turned off a faucet. Logan, sometimes people say things they don't remember. Sometimes. No, Logan's voice was firm. Stop, you made it up. And then you called Morgan and told her I had concerns about her husband. You almost broke up their marriage with a complete lie. The silence stretched between us. Finally, Nina spoke, and her voice was completely different. Cold, calculated, and honest in a way that was terrifying. Fine, yes, I embellished some things. But Logan, everything I did was to protect you. Can't you see what she's doing to you? You used to call me every day. You used to come over just to hang out. You used to tell me about your life, your problems, your hopes. Now I have to beg for scraps of attention, and when I do get them, she's always there, monitoring every word. Elena's not monitoring anything. Isn't she? Logan, when's the last time you made a decision without asking her opinion? When's the last time you spent time with friends she doesn't approve of? When's the last time you prioritized your mother's feelings over your wife's comfort? Logan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, That's called being married, Mom. Married people consider their spouse's feelings. That's called being controlled, Logan. And the fact that you can't see the difference proves how far you've fallen under her influence. I felt like I was watching something break in real time. Logan was realizing that his mother's love came with conditions, and one of those conditions was that he never prioritize anyone else over her. I think we should go, Logan said quietly. Nina's mask slipped completely. If you leave with her right now, Logan, don't bother coming to Thanksgiving. Don't bother calling me. Don't bother pretending you're still my son. Logan stood frozen for a moment. Then he took my hand and headed for the door. I love you, Mom, but I won't choose between you and Elena. And the fact that you're asking me to proves that Elena was right about everything. We left Nina sitting in her living room, and I could hear her sobbing as we drove away. But they weren't the sobs of someone who was sorry. They were the sobs of someone who was furious that her manipulation had finally been exposed. The drive home was quiet. Finally, Logan said, "I need to call Parker and tell her what happened. If Mom's doing this to us, she might be doing it to other people too." He was right, but I wasn't prepared for what Parker told us. The phone call with Parker changed everything. Logan called his sister that night and explained the situation. He played her some of the recordings and told her about the confrontation. I expected Parker to be shocked, maybe defensive of Nina, or at least surprised. Instead, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Logan, I need to tell you something, and I should have told you years ago." "What?" "Mom did the same thing to me with Marcus." Parker's husband, Marcus. They divorced 2 years ago after what seemed like a really messy breakup. I'd always wondered what happened, but Logan said Parker didn't like to talk about it. "What do you mean, she did the same thing?" "She'd call Marcus and tell him I'd said things about him. She'd call me and tell me Marcus had said things about me. Little things at first, then bigger things. She'd tell Marcus I was complaining about his job, or tell me that Marcus had told her he thought I was getting fat." My stomach dropped. "Parker, how long did this go on?" 2 years, maybe 3. And it worked, Logan. Marcus and I started fighting about things we'd never actually said to each other. We started feeling suspicious and resentful. Our communication broke down completely. Logan sounded sick. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't realize what she was doing until after the divorce. Marcus and I started talking again a few months later, trying to figure out what went wrong. That's when we realized that half our fights were based on things Mom had told us the other person said. But by then it was too late. The trust was gone." "Parker, that's insane. Why would she do that?" "Because she wanted me to move back home after the divorce, Logan. She wanted me closer, more dependent on her. She wanted to be the most important relationship in my life again." I thought about Parker moving back to Savannah after her divorce, how Nina had been so supportive, how she'd helped Parker find a new job and a new apartment. At the time, it seemed like a loving mother helping her daughter through a hard time. Now it looks like a plan that had worked perfectly. "Logan, there's something else. Remember when you and Elena got engaged, and Mom was so worried that you were rushing into marriage?" "Yeah." "She called me probably 20 times asking me to talk you out of it. She wanted me to tell you that Elena seemed like she wasn't ready, or that you should wait a year, or that long-distance relationships rarely work. She had all these reasons why I should be concerned about Elena." "But you never said any of that to me." "Because I liked Elena. When I met her, she was nothing like what Mom had described. Mom had made her sound controlling and cold, but Elena was warm and funny and obviously crazy about you." Logan was quiet for a minute. "Parker, do you think Mom's been doing this my whole life?" "I think Mom loves us, but she doesn't know how to love us in a healthy way. She needs to be the center of our world, and when we grow up and build lives that don't revolve around her, she sabotages them." After we hung up, Logan and I sat in our living room feeling like we'd discovered a completely different version of his family history. How many of Nina's concerns about Logan's previous girlfriends had been legitimate? How many times had she planted seeds of doubt that grew into breakups? "Elena, I owe you such a huge apology. If you hadn't recorded those conversations, I never would have believed this." "You don't owe me an apology. You couldn't have known." "But I should have known. Looking back, there were signs. She's my mom, you know, I trusted her." The next morning, Logan called Nina. He didn't tell me exactly what he said, but I could hear her voice through the phone, high and frantic. When he hung up, he looked exhausted. "What did you tell her?" "That I know what she did to Parker, and I won't let her do it to us. I told her we won't be coming to Thanksgiving, and we won't be coming to family events until she gets help." "How did she react?" "She cried, then she got angry, then she tried to convince me that Parker was lying. She said Parker's always been jealous of our relationship, and that she's probably working with you to turn me against her." Even now, Nina was trying to create divisions and suspicion. It was like a reflex for her. "Logan, there's something I need to tell you. Morgan's been helping me document all of this, and she's been keeping track of the lies Nina told about her marriage. What do you mean? We think Nina's been doing this to other family members too. Remember your Uncle Silas and how he stopped coming to family dinners last year? Logan looked confused. Mom said he was going through some kind of midlife crisis, that his new girlfriend didn't like family events. Or maybe Nina told him that people in the family didn't like his girlfriend. Maybe she told his girlfriend that family members had made comments about her. The more we talked, the more we realized how many family rifts might actually be Nina's handiwork. Cousins who stopped visiting, friends who drifted away, relationships that ended for unclear reasons. We decided to host our own Thanksgiving. Logan called Parker, Silas, Morgan, and Ethan, and a few other family members who'd become distant from Nina's events over the years. He didn't tell them exactly what happened, but he invited them to our house instead of Nina's. Everyone said yes. Everyone seemed relieved to have an alternative. Yesterday was Thanksgiving, and it was the best family holiday I'd ever experienced. Silas brought his girlfriend, who turned out to be lovely and nothing like the dramatic, attention-seeking person Nina had described. Parker and Marcus came together. They'd been quietly working on their relationship for months, but Nina didn't know. Around the dinner table, stories started coming out. Silas mentioned that someone had told him his girlfriend wasn't welcome at family events, but he'd never figured out who. Marcus talked about how he'd always felt like Logan and Parker's family didn't really like him, based on comments that had been passed along by Nina. Logan's cousin mentioned that she'd stopped hosting family events because Nina had told her that people complained about her cooking and found her parties boring. A family friend talked about how she distanced herself after Nina told her that people found her too loud and attention-seeking. By the end of the evening, we'd identified at least 6 relationships that Nina had damaged or destroyed through strategic lies and manufactured drama. "She's like a virus," Morgan said as we cleaned up. "She infects every relationship around her until the whole family system breaks down." This morning, Logan got a text from Nina. "I hope you're happy. You've destroyed our family for a woman who will probably leave you anyway. When Elena gets tired of playing house and moves on to someone new, don't come crying to me." Even in her anger, she couldn't resist trying to plant one more seed of doubt about my commitment to Logan. Logan deleted the message without responding. We're going to stay in touch with Parker, Silas, and the other family members who want genuine relationships without Nina's interference. Logan's grieving the loss of the mother he thought he had, but he's also relieved to finally understand why so many of his relationships felt complicated and fraught. As for me, I'm just grateful that I trusted my instincts and started documenting the crazy-making conversations. Without those recordings, Logan might never have believed that his loving, concerned mother was actually working to destroy his marriage. Nina taught me something important. The most dangerous manipulators aren't the obvious villains who scream and threaten. They're the ones who smile while they lie, who wrap their poison in concern, and who make you question your own sanity before you question their motives. But she also taught me that the truth really does set you free, even when it's painful. Especially when it's painful. Our marriage is stronger now than it's ever been, and for the first time since our wedding, Logan and I are building a life together without someone actively working to tear it apart. Some people are worth fighting for, some relationships are worth protecting, and some family members love you best from a distance.